Hello viewers, I'm your host Surbhi Sharma with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with Indian President Nath Kovind visiting Australia and Vietnam to give a cultural and economic push to the Indian objective of further improving ties and trade through all the available channels. Kovind largely resorted to soft diplomacy, which has for years remained India's most significant tool of engagement with other nations. A report.
On a state visit to Australia, one of the members of Quad and India's growing ally, Indian President Nath Kovind, was accorded official military honours at Admiralty House by Governor-General of Australia, Sir Peter Cosgrove. This was Indian President's first visit to any country to give a push to the diplomatic camaraderie the country has been reaching out for in recent times. A slew of agreements were signed between the two nations, ranging from area of disability and to deliver services to differently abled, expenditure in India and Australia to facilitate bilateral investment. Agreement was also signed between the Central Mine Planning and Design Institute, Ranchi, and the other Commonwealth Scientific and Research Organisation, Canberra, to foster scientific collaboration and innovation. Two agreements were also signed in the field of agriculture and technology. President, along with Australian Prime Minister, unveiled the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Parramatta town as part of the ongoing 150th birth anniversary celebrations of the great Indian freedom fighter. The life-size statue, which is a gift from the Indian government, is identical to the one presented to the city of Brisbane in Australia in 2014.
Mahatma Gandhi belongs not just to India, but to the entire world. His universal teachings have a special resonance in all corners. In these times of strife, his powerful message of non-violence and peaceful coexistence stands all the more relevant.
Mahatma Gandhi, spiritual leader and the father of India's independence, showed the world that the power of weapons and violence are no match for the strength of peace, non-violence and tolerance. Australia also, our instincts are always towards peace.
The talented artists from Australia revealed vivid colours of their culture and art by presenting mesmerising dance performances that left the audience spellbound. This has been the first ever visit by an Indian president to Australia as part of India's continuing and growing engagement with countries in the Indo-Pacific region.
Earlier, President also visited the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, where he discussed all means in order to provide an impetus to the India-Vietnam relationship. Moving on, the newly formed government in the Maldives has decided to reconsider the free trade agreement with China, which was signed by Abdullah Yameen. Former president and a prominent voice for the new coalition government, Mohammad Nasheed, the chief of the Maldivian Democratic Party, has called the agreement one-sided and exploitative. A report.
In a grand ceremony held at a soccer stadium in capital Malé, Ibrahim Mohamed Solih, a veteran lawmaker who defeated Abdullah Yameen in presidential election in September, was sworn in as the new president of the Maldives. Presence of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the only head of a state attending the ceremony, was vividly suggestive of the fact that the new dispensation is keen to restore its friendly relationship with India, which had moved south during the presidential stint of Abdullah Yameen, a Chinese protege. A statement issued by the Indian External Affairs Ministry after the meeting between the leaders said that Modi had assured Solih the Indian support through economic difficulties. The big worry for Solih's team is the debt the country has run up with the Chinese lenders for projects such as a mile-long sea bridge connecting the airport to the capital, the airport expansion itself and massive housing projects on reclaimed islands. Solih's transition team said it had been told the country owed $1.5 billion to Chinese lenders, but fear it could be much higher. Mohamed Nasheed, the former president and the chief of the Maldivian Democratic Party, which leads the Federal Alliance, said that Maldives' new government will pull out a free trade agreement (FTA) with China because it was a mistake for the tiny nation to strike such a pact with the world's second biggest economy. He also said that the trade imbalance between China and the Maldives is so huge that nobody would think of an FTA between such parties. China is not buying anything from us, it is a one-way treaty. The Maldives, famous for its luxury resorts on palm fringe islands, is the latest in a number of small countries where China has invested millions of dollars building highways and housing as part of its Belt and Road Initiative.
But these projects have left the country of just over 400,000 people in debt and have prompted calls for investigation into how contracts were awarded to Chinese companies during the previous administration. To know more about the changing dynamics of the Maldives, we have Mr. Kamar Agha, a senior journalist and an expert of foreign policy affairs of India. Mr. Agha, how do you analyze the political development in Maldives, where the newly formed government is mulling the cancellation of free trade agreement with China?
I think it's a very positive development, at least once again, there are hope, democracy would be revived as promised by the newly elected government, And the second thing, they would have, they'll try to balance ties between China and India. That is another good thing for us. And third thing, this free trade agreement was basically in favor of China. China was the one who was dumping its products or goods in Maldives. There was not much trade from or exports from Maldives to China. So it was basically one-way traffic, and Maldives were losing very badly in this trade.
Do you think India can play a major and positive role in pulling Maldives out of the financial crisis it is owing to Chinese debt?
India has a role, there's no doubt about it, and India should play, extend all sorts of possible support to Maldives, economic, military, political, diplomatic support, this government. Because it's a very strategically located island, nation, archipelago, and therefore it is in the interest of India to ensure friendly ties with that country, and that is possible only under the democratic rule. And India would be helping and had helped in the past as well. And see to it, it should come out.
Thank you, Mr. Agha. Moving on, a protest march against Pakistan government was carried out in the Bagh district of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. The protesters demanded an immediate end to the Pakistan's regular attempts to intrude their territories through unabated construction of mega projects in Gilgit Baltistan and PoK. A report.
Commoners and activists from across Pakistan-occupied Kashmir took to the streets of Bagh district and carried out a protest march demanding an end to the years of illegal occupation of the region. United Kashmir People's National Party, that has been struggling for Kashmiri independence from the clutches of Islamabad, had made the call for the protests. While demonstrating against the Pakistan establishment, the activists underlined the cruel, materialistic designs of Islamabad, under which the widespread illegal construction of dams and other projects is being pursued in the region, rendering hundreds of indigenous people homeless. Justifying people's rage and supporting people's demands from Brussels, Jamil Maqsood, former Central Secretary Foreign Affairs of UK PNP, slammed Pakistan for violating state subject rule in Gilgit Baltistan and other parts of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
The party leaders, including the exiled chairman Sadar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri, made a vehement demand that Pakistan should refrain from constructing mega dams and other such projects which aimed to exclude the people from the local development. Sardar Shaukat Ali Kashmiri and local leadership in public meeting, public gathering and public rally demanded government of Pakistan to stop the construction of the Amar Basha Dam in Gilgit Baltistan and also the violation of state subject rule in Gilgit Baltistan and in some parts of Pakistani occupied Kashmir. The party leadership also expressed their concern that the government of Pakistan is violating state subject rule in Rawalakot, in Kotli, Bagh, Neelam, Zafrabad and other areas and allocating land to its retired military officers, bureaucrats and businessmen.
Agitated at Pakistan's regular attempts of intrusion to establish an illegal ownership on lands in Gilgit Baltistan and PoK, the UK PNP activists demanded an immediate shutdown of projects running under the flagship of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. The project has drawn massive criticism and is seen as a strategically motivated attempt of Pakistan to compensate the huge debt it has accrued from China.
The United Kashmir People's National Party on international forums and with the regional political powers and with the regional governments also demanding that they should use their influence to stop Pakistan of creating such an hostile environment after China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and that corridor and that project is not a pro-people project. We are in a view that that project is a pro-military and it has a strategic interest and it is not aimed to develop local people either in Gilgit or in Zafrabad or in Balochistan or elsewhere in Pakistan. So we demand that this project should be immediately stopped.
Activists have ramped up their efforts against Pakistan's illegal occupation in PoK and Gilgit Baltistan. The movement has received a shot in the arm, with international community weighing in of late, upholding the issue of self-determination and territorial affairs of PoK and Gilgit Baltistan.
Moving on to Bangladesh, where the repatriation and the relocation process of Rohingya refugees, which was scheduled to begin this month, has been postponed till the new government formation in the country. While sources have cited the election as the principal reason behind this, many say it was the improper repatriation management led to the decision. A report.
Long-awaited process of safely sending the Rohingya refugees back to their homes has been stalled yet again as Bangladesh, which goes to the polls for the new government next month, has decided to revisit the process after the elections. However, it comes as a respite to those who had repeatedly expressed their apprehensions on the process of sending the besieged refugees back without proper security to their life in Rakhine. Along with the demands for justice and citizenship, the Rohingyas have been demanding to be relocated to their original villages with guarantee of safety.
After
nearly a year of planning, the two countries agreed last month to start repatriating the first group of 2,260 refugees, all verified as former residents of Myanmar. However, in a recently released report by a rights group, Fortify Rights, it suggested Bangladesh to postpone repatriation until Rohingyas' rights in Myanmar are restored. It also alleged that Bangladeshi authorities in Cox's Bazar were trying to pressure refugees into submitting their biometric data for ID cards by threatening and assaulting camp leaders, raising concerns of possible forced returns.
They have to decide to go back when they feel it's safe, when they feel it's okay to go back, and we support them.
More than 720,000 of them fled a sweeping army crackdown in Rakhine State last year, in which refugees say Buddhist civilians killed families and burned villages. United Nations mandated investigators have accused Myanmar's army of a genocidal intent and ethnic cleansing. However, Myanmar has denied almost all the accusations, saying its forces engaged in counter-insurgency operation against terrorists. Bangladesh and the UNHCR began issuing the cards in June in a joint effort aimed at providing refugees with secure IDs and better access to services and assistance. Refugees who accuse that Myanmar does not recognize Rohingya among the native ethnic groups eligible for citizenship say that national verification cards the government wants to issue them would only entrench their status as second-class residents.
Moving on to Afghanistan, wherein what is being called as the deadliest attack in the country this year, a bomb blast ripped through the banquet hall of a religious gathering in capital Kabul. While more than 50 people were dead, scores others were severely injured. Surprisingly, none of the two terrorist organizations, Taliban and Islamic State, which was largely responsible for all the attacks in the country, have owned the responsibility. Report. Years of diplomatic efforts in Afghanistan have seemingly yielded no results, as the situation has only deteriorated in the past few weeks, with recent attack killing as many as 55 people in capital Kabul. Most of the victims belong to the Ulema Council, the country's largest religious organization, which had called for the gathering of scholars from Sunni sect. The religious scholars, especially those who have any kind of association with the government, have always remained the target of the terrorists. However, to the surprise of all, nobody from either of the organizations claimed the responsibility of the attack. Eyewitnesses recounting horrific tales seem to have become a new normal in Afghanistan. The data suggestive of any increasingly fragile security situation of the country says that the country has lost as many as 3,000 nationals in the last 33 months, with more than 150 lives being claimed in this month alone. Owing to multiple reasons, including a deficit of sophisticated weaponry and ill-trained personnel, the security establishment of the country has failed to contain the rapidly increasing violence. Such is the situation that the intelligence agencies are more than often clueless about the crime and the criminals.
ما از دیروز به این طرف تحقیقات خود آغاز کردیم. هنوزم در داخل هتل تیم‌های تحقیقاتی ما حضور دارن که ما نتایج نهایی را به دست بیاریم و او را با شما و تمام هموطنان ما شریک بکنیم.
The reason behind the security apparatus of Kabul, backed by Washington, finding it extremely hard to counter the growing menace, are not just confined to the territories of the country, but its neighbor Pakistan, a diplomatic traitor of Afghanistan, which has been preaching and supporting peace for the war-torn country at international platforms, but covertly hatching and executing devious plans against the sovereignty of the country. Afghan leadership has time and again accused Pakistan of being hand in glove with terrorists, providing them resources, training and weapons to carry out attacks to destabilize Afghanistan. In an assertive effort of the late, Afghan authorities and the deployed NATO forces are taking strict vigil on the activities which are being planned by Pakistan-backed terror outfits. The Afghan Taliban and the Haqqani network crosses over the Durand line to create disturbances in the country. Moving on, the Pushkar Fair in Rajasthan province of India is famous for being the world's largest cattle fair. Though the original intention behind organizing this fair was to attract local camels and cattle traders to do business during the holy Kartik Purnima festival held in Pushkar, but now it has become a major tourist attraction, with the camel trading part being surpassed by a formal program of activities arranged by Rajasthan Tourism.
Situated in the Ajmer district of Rajasthan, Pushkar is far away from the hustle and bustle of a modern city. famously known as Tirth Raj, the city is among the 5 pilgrim sites for people following Hinduism. Along with this, it also forms a fascinating location and a befitting backdrop for the annual cattle fair known as Pushkar Mela. It is the most popular and colourful fair of the Thar desert that begins on Kartik Shukla Ekadashi and goes till Kartik Purnima. During this time, tourists from all around the world come in huge numbers to experience the beauty of Rajasthan.
I feel like home. It's my second home. I love Pushkar, I love the people, I love Rajasthan. I'm in love with India. It's like going back in time, 100 years back in time. I feel blessed to be here.
On record, Pushkar Fair is the world's largest camel fair where around 50,000 camels gather. The entire fair is segregated into 3 parts. The first one is the cattle fair, in which hundreds and thousands of herders and nomads gather in the area around the Pushkar lake to buy and sell their livestock. Apart from the camels, animals like horses, cows, sheep and goats are being traded here. Further, there are competitions among the colourfully decorated camels where the winner camel is prized healthily. For the convenience of the visitors, there is an elevated sitting arena with specially designed tented viewing gallery from where they can take a better view of the activities.
I feel amazing. It is incredible. It is many people coming together, sharing, enjoying beauty, magic, wonder. It's very important, and it's important that people know about these creatures that are very, very special in Rajasthan. They work, they provide milk, they provide food, they provide beauty. It's very, very beautiful.
In the other segment, there is a cultural fair in which numerous makeshift stalls are set up catering both to human and the cattle. Clothing, jewelries, handicrafts carry an ethnic charm with a typically Rajasthani aura. Besides it, the hugely versatile cultural repertoire of Rajasthan comes alive in the Pushkar Fair in form of folk dance, music, games and much more. Football match is an interactive activity held during the fair where local and visitors compete against each other.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's just so slippery, so you're sliding all over the place, but it's really fun. Tired. Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, good, very hot.
It was hot.
But very fun.
Different to Australia. Oh, it's beautiful. The outfits are so colourful and
lots of camels, beautiful animals.
Animals.
Yes.
I love it.
Very good.
The third segment covers the holy dip in the mythological significant Pushkar Lake. According to Hindu mythology, all the 330 gods and goddesses of Hinduism assembled at Pushkar Lake on the day of Purnima, the full moon night, to consecrate it, making it all the more sacred.
तीर्थराज पुष्कर जो है, पुष्प कर यानी हाथ, पुष्कर 2 शब्दों से बना है कि ब्रह्मा ने आज ही के दिन महायज्ञ किया था तीर्थराज पुष्कर के अंदर, जो विश्व में विख्यात है। यज्ञ की पूर्णाहुति के लिए साथ में गायत्री के साथ में बैठ करके यह यज्ञ किया था। उसी के उपलक्ष्य में, और नई फसल आती है, इसके उपलक्ष्य में दीपावली पर्व आता है, उसके उपलक्ष्य में ये कार्तिक का मेला लगता है और सभी प्रकार के पशु आते हैं, घोड़ा, ऊंट, गाय वगैरह सभी प्रकार के पशुओं का अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मेला है।
In all these years, the fair has carved a unique niche of its own in the country's annual carnival calendar and is playing a great role in preserving the centuries-old practice of camel trading in the form of a spectacular event.
It is one of the oldest fairs which provide an opportunity to the villagers to come together and relish dazzling styles and tones. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.